Kia ora, I'm Gail Gillan, Director of the Child Wellbeing Research Institute at the University of Canterbury. Welcome to this presentation, A Better Start to Literacy. It's great to have you join me. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss an overview of the Better Start literacy approach that our team of researchers has been developing over the last 5 years. The approach is designed to help ensure all children succeed in their early reading and writing attempts. I'll present an example of some of the exciting results we have found as we support our talented teachers and dedicated parents implement teaching strategies within the approach. First, though, I'd like to acknowledge my research colleagues, and in particular, Professor Bridget McNeil, who is a co-leader with me in the Better Start literacy approach, and Dr. Amy Scott, an associate researcher and designer of our online tasks and website. I'd also like to acknowledge our funders. This research is part of a Better Start National Science Challenge. This is a 10-year program of research focused on enhancing children's well-being. New Zealand, like many countries, has educational inequities that we are working hard to eliminate. Now, our government has introduced an ambitious national child and youth wellbeing strategy. An important aspect of the strategy is children's successful early learning. We know how early literacy success is a powerful protective factor and leads to lifelong educational, health, and economic advantages. Change is needed, however, at a systems level to ensure literacy success for all. The factors that lead to educational inequities are complex. A multifaceted approach is necessary if we are to achieve sustained improvements in children's literacy outcomes that can result in intergenerational benefits. Our Better Start literacy approach includes several elements. First in the approach is we embed it in a strengths-based framework where we focus on what the children can achieve and their next steps for learning. We see children's parents, caregivers or extended family members, or whānau, as central to the approach. We aim to engage children's whānau in their children's learning in positive ways that respect and value their efforts. We've developed online monitoring assessments which are culturally appropriate and engaging for young children. They are designed so we can celebrate children's progress over time and can support teachers identify areas of learning that might need increased focus. We've also developed research-informed and culturally relevant teacher resources, and we scaffold the teachers' learning to help them embed the teaching strategies into their everyday practices. We support teachers extend their own linguistic knowledge and learning around the research evidence that informs our teaching approaches. We use a response to intervention framework to advance children's foundational language skills in areas that are critical to their early reading and writing success. And we encourage professionals such as teachers, speech-language pathologists, and specialists in literacy to collaborate in positive ways to support children who we know will need some additional help in their early literacy journey. I'd like now to share some features of the teaching components with you that are included in the Better Start literacy approach. First, we use explicit and evidence-based phonological awareness instruction at the phoneme level. Things like phoneme identity, phoneme segmentation, and phoneme blending. And we integrate into those activities letter knowledge. And we really try to help children use their phoneme awareness skills in their reading and spelling attempts. We use vocabulary elaboration techniques to support children's word learning. We include oral narrative and listening comprehension activities that are centred on children's quality storybooks and children's readers. Now, for our school-age children who are 5 years of age, we've developed some new children's readers that are culturally relevant, but importantly, they use a systematic approach to introduce new word patterns to help children decode unfamiliar words and to comprehend simple stories. Our team first developed the Better Start literacy approach for children entering school at 5 years of age, and particularly for children with lower levels of oral language. We use a tier model where we carefully monitor their response to quality teaching. Now in Tier 1, the approach typically involves class literacy teaching sessions and small group reading for about 45-minute sessions, 4 times a week for 10 weeks. But now we're adapting it down to 3 and 4-year-old children, and we're currently implementing a research trial looking at adapting the Better Start literacy strategies for language activities in children's early education centres. We've called this adaptation Words Can Pop. The learning contexts for the approach include children's quality storybooks and children's readers, play and game type activities, as well as specific planned learning opportunities to extend children's language and phonological awareness and their print knowledge. To date, we've had over 1,000 5-year-old children, their teachers and their families involved in our research trials, and currently in our early childhood project, we're involving 543 children, their teachers and their families. Now I'd like to show you some examples of the results that we're finding. First, we'll look at the data for 141 children who entered school at 5 years of age and from low socioeconomic communities with lower levels of oral language. We look at their non-word or unfamiliar word reading, because this task is a great way to measure children's ability to transfer their improved phoneme and letter knowledge to the decoding of unfamiliar words. An example of an item in the non-word task would be a child reading words like HUD or SIM, so you can see that they follow the same structure of real words in English. Now, the children's classes were assigned to either Strand A, where the Better Start literacy approach was implemented first for 10 teaching weeks, or they were assigned to Strand B, where the children received their usual literacy curriculum first, that did include some phonic instruction, and then they moved in to receiving the Better Start literacy approach in the second 10-week period. So in this graph, you can clearly see a strong treatment effect. The children in Strand A, represented here by the top blue line, showed accelerated growth in their word decoding from time 1 to time 2, when the Better Start literacy approach was implemented. Now we can compare this to children in Strand B who received their usual literacy curriculum. Then you'll notice the accelerated growth for children in Strand B who received the Better Start literacy approach second. Importantly in this study, we saw a benefit to receiving the Better Start literacy approach early. And this makes sense from a theoretical perspective and perspectives like the self-teaching hypothesis, because we know that once children gain success in decoding words, they can begin to teach themselves new combination of word patterns, which helps them to continue their growth. This results in cumulative benefits from early literacy support. Now in the second example, we'll take a further look at the advantages of beginning the Better Start literacy approach at school entry, and also consider the additional help that children who have both speech and language difficulties may need. Let's look at the children's spelling of real words at the end of their first year at school. First, we see that the blue bar in each pair is higher than the red bar. So regardless of whether the children had typical language development, lower oral language, or lower oral language plus speech difficulties, they could all spell more words correctly at the end of their first year at school if they received the Better Start literacy approach first, that is, in their first few months at school. Second, we note that the more significant difficulty children have in spelling if they have both lower oral language and speech difficulties. These children may need additional support through more targeted small group work. So finally in this presentation, I would like to discuss the importance of carefully monitoring children's progress so we can focus in on the children who need additional support early in their schooling. This is particularly important to identify children who may be at risk for persistent reading difficulties like dyslexia. If we can provide the type of teaching support they need early, we can help prevent the negative educational experiences we are all too familiar with for some children with dyslexia. The online monitoring assessments we have developed focus on phonological awareness, letter knowledge, and oral narrative skills in a story retell context. The online process provides teachers with the data and analyses they need to develop the next steps for children's learning, and in a format that they can easily share with the children's parents and families. Let's look at an example of how the assessments can quickly highlight children who might need additional support. Phoneme identity is the first level of phoneme awareness to develop in young children. This graph shows the distribution of scores for 250 children at school entry in low socioeconomic communities. You can see the wide distribution and performance that our teachers need to manage. The online task asked children to identify from a choice of 3 pictures which word started with a particular sound. A score of 7 or more is considered to be significantly above chance level. But look at the distribution when this task was re-administered 10 weeks after the Better Start Literacy approach. Thanks to our talented teachers and parents supporting at home, the majority of children have now mastered this skill. The teacher can now focus in on a much smaller number of children who will need more intensive support to ensure they develop these skills, which are vital to their word decoding and spelling. Our team is really excited by the research findings and the positive feedback that we've received from parents and teachers regarding how quickly their children are developing these important foundational learning skills through the Better Start Literacy approach. The investment in quality support systems that help children succeed early in their reading and writing attempts will truly be well rewarded. You can find out more about our Better Start Literacy approach and the research behind this approach through our website and through our free online edX course, which will be released in December this year. Kia ora. Thank you for listening, and good luck with all the important work you are doing in helping children become great readers and writers.